2026 is here. We made it to another year. What's up, guys? Steph Saucy here. Some call me Steph, some call me Saucy. And this is the official Steph's Bitcoin report for the new year. And you know, it's been a good 2025 to close out Bitcoin. Hey, look, it's been staggering a lot, but look, we got good news heading into the new year as we see price momentum, and that's why I'm back for the first Monday of the year. But unfortunately, guys, 2026 starting out like a crumble as the U.S., our United States government has captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. And yeah, so that's the kind of news that we have to bring to you today. And it's tied into Bitcoin too, by the way, I mind you. So it's going to be a real interesting topic today as we get to the news of Bitcoin and how this capture by the U.S. is affecting markets. It affects oil and finances, of course. Man, oh man. What a way to start the new year off with some fucking entertaining news, bro. Oh, man. Well, let me just say this. I am not a financial advisor. Although I do look like one. You can subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share. As I'm going to get to the basis of what all this means, the significance of this capturing by the U.S., and of course the outlook for Bitcoin in 2026, because it finally came. And wow, just like that, not only are we in the fifth day of the year, but we are in the first week of the year with a ton of news to get to, man. But you know how I like to do. Just so you know, you can also check out my Steph's M Life playlist. 2026 has a lot in store for the BMW M3. In case you ain't know about that, I got that sitting outside, parked up. You can check out that playlist. And also, the NFL has officially come to the close for the regular season. But the playoffs are here. I'm going to give my playoff picks, talking about that too as well. So stay tuned for that. But man, oh man. Boy, oh boy, do we have a treat as we're continuing to look at this news of the U.S., going overseas, capturing someone and charging them in the U.S. Damn. Boy, that is a real heavy blow to the Venezuelans. But some might argue it's not, because it's freedom for them. And let's just get to Yahoo Finance and talk about the largest world digital asset in the world, Bitcoin. You know how I feel about Bitcoin, man. If you can invest, I think you should. But that's up for discussion. Let's get to the discussion of today. The headline reads, Bitcoin's price is climbing. Did the U.S. capture of Venezuela's Maduro help? Well, I think it's on the brink of it. But let's get to the article. Here we go with the key takeaways. Bitcoin traded above 94,000 today, guys. So we broke above the 90,000 threshold. It's been tough for the last, honestly, 30 days for Bitcoin. In the month of December, you didn't see too many highs. But, that right there, it was expected, as there wasn't a lot of money flowing into Bitcoin. And now we're looking at 2026. We're seeing drastic change. We already starting out 94,000. Let's continue to read. Investors digested the weekend news that the U.S. had captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Ousting Maduro is not a direct bullish catalyst for Bitcoin, but the geopolitical ramifications, guys. Look, that is a big deal, because we're talking about pretty much upending the lives of another country, right? So the U.S., obviously we have embassies all over the world. We have alliances. We have allies. And this right here was a bold move by POTUS. And this was a very controversial move by POTUS, because not only are you threatening the lives of the Venezuelans, but now the U.S., we're starting to get involved now in capturing world leaders and taking them to our land to process them to the fullest, highest bidder in the court systems. Wow, that's a bold move. Like I will say again. So as we're going to continue to read down here, Bitcoin appears to have climbed out of the rut following surprise capture of the U.S. Venezuelan President Maduro over the weekend. It underperformed the broader stock market last year. As I told you, we hit 126,000. You remember that, guys? I was very excited. And then all of a sudden, I had to give you the bad news, of which, of course, Bitcoin crashed. Not 20%, but 30%. That's a very significant number. In case you're wondering what number I should get into, like I always tell you, man, it's dollar cost averaging. You get in at one price, hey, it might go up, and then it might go down the original price you paid for, and then that's where you can get back in and scoop up some more Bitcoin. Just my personal opinion. So look, man. So as we're talking about Bitcoin, the oil industry, right? That's a very important industry, you know, that helps us thrive and make money, of course. Oil industry stocks also jump on hopes that U.S. energy companies will benefit from the revival of Venezuela's oil industry. And just to note, that industry right now in Venezuela is the 5th largest reserve in the world for oil. 5th largest in the world, right? So now we got the U.S. having ties, and POTUS has openly said he wants American companies to invest billions, not millions, but billions into the oil industry over there so that we can grow a fast, business and make money. That's all it's about, capturing and seizing the oil. And I'm not surprised by the U.S. I mean, that's what we've been doing, right? Our country has been founded on greed, and it continues to grow with the greed. But as we continue to move down, as you can see, the prediction market right now, will Bitcoin hit 80K or 100K first? 50% chance that people are saying that. Right now, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but the prediction markets, that seems like a new stream of income for a lot of people. You can really predict on anything. It's so funny that this streamer, I was on my social media the other day. You wouldn't believe what he predicted on this poly market, what will happen on New Year's Eve. On, the New Year's Eve, the celebration in New York City where the ball drops. He won $300,000 that 2 gay couples will be kissing on New Year's Eve celebration. Yo, this is how we making money nowadays, bro. You're gambling on people's lives. Like, can't 2 people just be in love? On New Year's Eve, 2 gay couples kissing on New Year's Eve. Wow, if that isn't a shocker, and if he isn't the luckiest guy in the world, I tell you, man, he sure is. That is ridiculous. But we get back to the story. Let's read what we're seeing. Escalating pressures without direct military conflict is supportive of Bitcoin, reinforcing its appeal as a decentralized asset amid geopolitical uncertainty. See, that's the thing about Bitcoin. We can go through all this type of turmoil around the world, but still, I always like to say, man, Bitcoin is here to stay no matter what happens. Although we understand if obviously we have another COVID pandemic, that has a lot to do with world currencies, markets, things will go down. But when we talking about this type of asset and the amount of money people pump into this, literally, the things that we see that happens worldwide has little effect to Bitcoin. Not saying a lot, but a little effect. And that's why in this article, they're trying to raise that because it's a decentralized asset, right? Meaning that it's not backed by the U.S. Obviously, a stock is an asset that's backed by the U.S. Bitcoin isn't. Just only it's invested heavily into. So that's why now moving forward, we're going to see a lot of liquidity kind of cool off, I think, because now we're going to see the U.S. have regulation on this. And if I'm not mistaken now, there are going to be no capital gains tax on Bitcoin. I read that. I read that not too long ago, guys. So look, just bear with me. We're gonna get to the thick of that. So let's get back to what we were reading. In other words, Bitcoin's usefulness as a hedge is helping lift prices rather than broad recovery and appetite for risk assets. So yeah, man, like I always say, man, the hedge against the US dollar. And we had a great conversations on my live stream this past weekend. If you tuned into the Steph Saucy Talk end of the year live stream, you would have seen that we talked about the US dollar and gold and the ability to invest which one. So I had someone argue that the US dollar, if it was to go down one day, all these assets that we're seeing, Bitcoin, stocks, crypto, will all be worth nothing. But gold, having a gold bullion will always keep the value. If we're being quite honest, because if there's no more money ever printed, what can we use as value? Right? Because you need US dollars to buy Bitcoin, you need US dollars to buy crypto stocks, but gold, if you own gold, how much more significant is it compared to owning assets with your US dollars? Me personally, I don't own any gold personally, but that is a good food for thought right there, because now if we're looking at gold as a safe haven to one day where eventually all the currencies around the world, I'm talking all the currencies around the world, are not going to mean much. And then if you have gold, you know how much of a big deal you are as a human to own that. That right there, I didn't think of that, but I think people gotta understand too. Gold, man, that market will continue to thrive, and obviously we know gold is a finite asset, right? The minerals, obviously, it's mined in various places, especially China. China is the most place in the world that mines gold. Let's not forget that. So they have tons of it, and look, man, that could be a conversation for another time of owning gold rather than owning crypto, rather than owning stocks and all these other assets. Very interesting, very interesting. So look, man, obviously, I read a few points in the article. If this makes a big deal, and I'm gonna get to another point too, because I was looking at Venezuela and their Bitcoin treasury. So supposedly they own close to 600,000. Now let's get to Binance.com. I was just looking at this, and they're saying that Venezuela owns a lot of Bitcoin. Now, due to the fact that the U.S. just captured their president, and the transfer of power now is supposedly not supposed to be towards Maduro's vice president, who is currently still in Venezuela, that's supposed to take over. That whole regime is supposedly supposed to be ousted, and the new Democratic favored Nobel Peace Prize winner lady that's supposed to be in there should take over, but Trump doesn't think so. So obviously we're having some difficulties. Let me just get to let's see, I think it was on this website right here, because currently we're having issues with the Wi-Fi. But yeah, so I think, man, this is a big deal. And as we get to the other breaking headline news today, Maduro was seen in court and he pleads not guilty. As we continue to go down the line, he pretty much says, I'm innocent, I'm not guilty, I'm a decent man, the president of my country. Now, he can totally believe that, but from what the people I've seen in the streets in the U.S., in Venezuela, around the world, they are thanking Daddy Trump for taking Maduro off the map, bro. That is a big deal, man. Now, do I agree with it? No. Because, as we mentioned, the geopolitical ramifications of not only does it affect markets, not only does it affect Bitcoin, but it affects the people in that country. Because where are they headed to next? That's the biggest question now. Lines are packed. Oil prices obviously going up now. the dollar, or as you know, in their terms of money, the peso has completely deflated now. It's not worth much. So that's the next step. Who's going to take charge? Who's going to really get the country back to where it needs to be in a democratic state? Because obviously the dictatorship was getting out of hand to the point where the U.S. felt they need to step and intervene and take this guy literally out the country, which is causing a lot of headlines and starting more war. All right, I think that's the biggest takeaway, about this whole situation. It's just war, man. How many times are we gonna continue to involve ourselves in wars we don't need to be in? Cold War, Afghanistan, all that shit, man. That is really unfathomable at this point. We got enough issues in our backyard of our own, states, cities. Homelessness is at a high. Healthcare, there's issues with that right now. Grocery prices are through the roof. What more can we possibly go through? Now, the big beautiful bill promised no taxes on wages, tips, overtime. So now, you get rid of that now. So now what are we going to have? More higher prices. Because if people are getting more direct money into their bank accounts due to the no taxes on your overtime and tips, the only resolution to that was, if you can afford that, why not raise these prices? So you're going to see a lot of that too. Now, as I said, he pleaded guilty, and now we're looking at potentially him serving life, and still we got other issues at hand. Cartels still running in and out of the United States, not even from Venezuela. Mexico, do we forget we border Mexico, bro? And that's another issue that is going to be on the table. So look, man, the eye is here. We see what we see, and we see that for as far as an economy, like it says, for like Venezuelans, which is heavily dependent on oil exports, locking up energy export effectively locks up foreign exchange inflows. Historically, every episode of intensified sanctions, swift restrictions, or tighter capital controls has been accompanied by rising real-world demand for Bitcoin in affected regions. So look, they just said that. You take the oil off the map now for Venezuela now, because the U.S. obviously wants to capture that. But we can't forget that China has a big staple in that country. That they created a deal with Maduro that they help the oil industry over there, that they're supposed to get their money for that oil. So China wants the release of this guy back to his respective country, and they want their money. So how can we say we're going to control this shit when China already had a footprint in their country for the oil? Ridiculous. And now you see now with the demand for Bitcoin now, because pesos, the US dollar, whatever type of currency now needs Bitcoin to have in their reserve just in case of a situation like this, where now the oil is not in their control no more in Venezuela. So now they need Bitcoin as their currency to help fund their country now. And I see that a lot in a lot of third world countries. El Salvador has a big, strong Bitcoin reserve. We're looking at, obviously we just mentioned Venezuela. People in the Asian countries are starting to have Bitcoin reserves. Obviously here in the U.S., and other Southern American countries. So look, man, this technology of Bitcoin is significant. And also from what I read too, by the way, now, if look at the headline. Bitcoin price could be hit by Venezuela's 3% Bitcoin reserve. And they explain how. Because supposedly now, Venezuela has 600,000 Bitcoins. Not 100, not 300,000, but 600,000. 3% of Bitcoin. And now the U.S. If they seize it now, that means the supply of Bitcoin now reduces now. So then, Bitcoin's price inevitably should go up. Don't I say this every time on this broadcast about the price of Bitcoin? How could it possibly go down? When the total supply of 21 million is finally mined and circulated and mined throughout the whole internet system for Bitcoin, now moving forward now, where does it go down? I don't see it going down. That's 21 million coins ever created. Gone. Off the map. You can't buy it. You're going to have to buy it from someone at the highest bidder now. So essentially, that's a big deal. Because now if Venezuela really does have 600,000 Bitcoin and the U.S. takes that away from them, so now we're looking at the leaders of this Bitcoin revolution in the United States. At one point, it's going to be unrecognizable the price of Bitcoin to own. It's crazy. That is crazy. Look at what we have here. BlackRock, 770,000 Bitcoins. MicroStrategy, as I mentioned to you plenty of times on this program, they accumulate a lot of Bitcoin. And here, Venezuela, 600,000. And the U.S. already has 300,000. So we're looking at close to 1 million in seized Bitcoin. Impossible. So here we go. The most likely outcome is a freeze. Legal battles, forfeiture, claims, and creditors' disputes could lock these coins in the escrow for years. A strategic reserve is also plausible, especially given President Donald Trump's public openness to holding confiscated Bitcoin. A rapid liquidation means a least likely option politically and strategically. Dumping such large amount of Bitcoin will wreck stability and broader Bitcoin reserve narrative. So that's why they can't get rid of it. Because then prices will fluctuate out of control. And now we want to see Bitcoin now in a fairly reasonable liquid market. Liquidity thrives for Bitcoin. So this could be the year now. With all these things happening now, we could see a potentially 150,000 price target. That's what I'm aiming for, and that's what I'm going with. 150,000 price target, end of year for Bitcoin, and then we get into the crypto winters, and then that's when 2028 comes back around, and then after that, 2032, after that, Bitcoin probably will be fully mined, 21 million created, no more to be shared out. That's my prediction. You can quote me on that. So look, man, as we're almost coming to an end, I want to get to what POTUS has said in case you didn't watch his remarks from Saturday morning on the capture of President Nicolas Maduro. This is from Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Let's see what POTUS had to say.
Thank you very much. This is big stuff. Appreciate you being here. Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II.
World War II, POTUS is claiming. And by the way, man, I think no one recognized the similarities to this operation, right? So for months, what has been going on? The past 3 to 4 months, right? We've had strikes at fishermen boats off of the coast of Venezuela, right? So this wasn't a 1 month operation. They have been studying this operation for quite some time. You know the funny shit I heard? Someone I knew said the U.S. had every right to bomb those boats off the coast of Venezuela because it would be a threat to the United States of them transporting drugs. Wait a second. Did you take a fucking history lesson, yo? Venezuela to the United States. Do you know how far of a ride that is? And not only to mention that, this is not a naval ship. This is not a cargo ship. This is a fisherman's boat. And you know his response was? What are they doing early in the morning riding through the shores of the waters of Venezuela? You don't know that fishermen go early in the morning to catch fish? Are you fucking kidding me, bro? Yo, this guy, man, made me crack up, mom. Yeah, you had to be there to believe this. So you mean to tell me the U.S. should have had the authority to bomb fishermen's ships because it was a threat to the United States? Who had the nerve to say that that was a threat? You might be the stupidest guy I've ever known. Yo, I couldn't believe when I heard that shit. Yo, oh my gosh. Let's just continue. Because people are just clearly MAGA crazy. Anything Trump says, anything Trump does, they go for this shit. Because we got fishermen boats that are a threat to the United States of America. Oh gosh. Should have went over there and did that? I don't think that has nothing to do with us. Especially our national security. The national security real threat is really right across the border from our country. That's the biggest threat I can see right now. So, Bitcoin moving forward, I told you I have 150,000 as the price target. I will stick by that. And always remember this. Where there is politics, there is money involved. Once you understand the politics of it all and how these people do these type of moves, literally go in countries, literally go into financial markets, tap into the markets, cause a lot of uncertainty in the markets, all for a reason now. I always say this and I stay by this to this day. Every day our lives are decided by what happens in the financial markets. Quote me on that. Once we understand that, the more we'll understand where to put our money, where to not put our money, and what to pay attention to. Because a lot of these political leaders that we put in office, they the ones that control a lot of the funding that gets to your schools, to your local YMCA, centers, your politicians, whatever that goes on within your state, country, city, or village. These are the people that are running the show, guys. Just saying it. This is just facts. So pay attention and be alert on that, man. Because that has a big deal about what's going to be coming ahead in 2026 as far as prices are concerned and as far as our lives are concerned. So once again, thank you for tuning in. This is Steph Saucy Talk with your guy DJ Steph Saucy. Some call me Steph, some call me Saucy. But what a bang to start off 2026 talking about some money. I love talking about money. I hope you do too. Like and subscribe. Check in with me, man, each and every week on Steph's Bitcoin Report, my Steph's Game Picks, or Steph's M Life 2026. A big year for the M3. We got more coming soon, man. Stay tuned. Stay locked in to the rest of the week. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.